In the previous episode, Natsume couldn't win the argument with Kureha, all because he put his accessories in second place and his head was filled with thoughts about his relationship with Himari. So they decided to go their separate ways and not interfere with each other, because if they are truly connected by fate, they will meet again in the future. Big thanks to those who comment on the video. Your support is amazing. Please subscribe too. You can always unsubscribe if it's not for you. Enjoy. This is a story about a boy who, back in elementary school, tried to sell accessories made from flowers, and about a beautiful girl who didn't just walk past him. Instead, she helped him sell all the accessories. From that moment on, their friendship became the strongest of all. But can a friendship between a boy and a girl truly exist? In elementary school, a boy named Natsume tried to sell flower accessories, but everyone just walked past him. That's when he learned how difficult it is to sell something. Natsume was upset because he had to sell all the accessories by tomorrow, or else. Natsume walked into the classroom where he had been selling his accessories, and there he saw a beautiful girl with blue hair who had been waiting for him all this time. She walked up to him and asked where he had been, saying he shouldn't leave the stall unattended. The girl said that other girls had come by, looking for Natsume. But Natsume replied that it didn't matter if they came or not, because they still didn't buy anything. The girl smiled and told him he was wrong, because the girls had bought almost half of what he had. Natsume was surprised. The girl then asked why he needed to sell exactly 100 accessories, and suddenly lunged at Natsume with curiosity. However, Natsume didn't know whether he should tell her the reason or not, because if he told her the whole story, she might just laugh at him. But Natsume pulled himself together and said that he dreams of opening a shop that sells accessories made from preserved flowers. But his parents told him he has to become a government official. They argued, and then his parents told him that if he managed to sell 100 accessories, they would accept it. The girl laughed, spilled juice on Natsume, and said that no parent would agree to such a foolish plan from their child. But Natsume said it wasn't a foolish plan. Then the girl asked how many accessories were left, and Natsume replied that there were 68. The girl finally introduced herself and said her name was Himari, and that tomorrow she would help Natsume sell all the accessories. Himari was soon surrounded by girls who started asking where she got such beautiful earrings. Himari answered that they were custom made. She pulled out a business card and said that everything could be seen on the website. 2 years have passed since that school fair, and thanks to Himari, Natsume managed to sell all his accessories, and his parents began to believe in him. Now, Natsume sells his accessories through a family business, because for a minor it's very difficult, and not everything always goes smoothly. But Natsume always has money to order flowers, because he enjoys it and loves spending time this way. Everyone calls Natsume gloomy, but he likes that. Suddenly, Himari appeared from behind and said that it looked very beautiful. Then she jumped on him and said that was enough for today. Natsume needs rest. But Natsume moved to another seat and said he had just started. Himari jumped on him again and stared straight into Natsume's eyes. Natsume realizes how cute Himari is. He decided to tell her that he remembered that very fair and how back then Himari had long hair. Natsume asked Himari to get off of him, but Himari said that this was her favorite place, and these are their usual everyday moments. After Himari and Natsume managed to sell all the accessories, they decided to go get something to eat. While sitting at the table, Natsume asked why Himari had helped him. Himari answered that she helped because she wanted everything to be sold. But after a while, her eyes lit up, and she herself suggested creating a little corner where they could sell accessories together, and she would help with everything. Himari said that she had been watching the whole process, how Natsume made his accessories, and how he cried when he trimmed his flowers. That's why she decided to help him. Himari said she liked looking into Natsume's eyes because there was so much confidence in them, and that they would work together like the best kind of friendship. Himari finally convinced Natsume to finish up work, and they went to have dinner together. During dinner, Himari said that she should also start her own business. Otherwise, she would have to marry Natsume. Natsume told her not to joke like that, because thanks to her jokes, Himari's brother had already started seeing Natsume as his younger brother. Himari then brought up Natsume's first love and teased him, saying he still thinks about her. But Natsume said he didn't care about that, and that the only reason he couldn't find a girlfriend was because Himari always clings to him at school. Himari said she doesn't really understand all that romantic stuff, and if Natsume won't marry her, then someone else will be found for her. Himari jokingly said that she comes from an ancient family and could be married off for political gain. But Natsume stood up for her and said that if that ever happened, he would help her. Himari laughed loudly and said that things like that don't happen nowadays. After that, they returned to their homes. Natsume decided to think back to the past when he was walking with Himari, and she said she wished all boys were like Natsume. Himari had suggested that if by the time they turned 30, they were both still single, then she wanted to live with Natsume. But at that moment, Natsume rejected her and said that he wasn't interested in energetic girls like her. Himari jumped on him and laughed, saying that Natsume was the first person to ever reject her. Natsume decided to go and pick up another batch of flowers. The next day, a boy approached Himari and asked if she was dating Natsume. Himari replied that it wasn't any of his business. Himari was really annoyed that no one could understand Natsume's charm and that she wasn't friends with him because she wanted to kiss him or anything like that. She just wanted to be friends, and she hoped that Natsume's future girlfriend would accept their friendship. Meanwhile, Natsume went to get a drink when he suddenly saw a beautiful girl in front of him. Natsume really likes beautiful girls, but it sounds strange. He likes them because they inspire him to create new accessories. He thought something around her neck, in the color of her nails, would really suit her. But then he noticed a bracelet on her wrist, one he had made and sold 2 years ago at the fair. He was surprised that someone besides Himari was still wearing something from that fair. Suddenly, the bracelet snapped and fell to the ground. The girl immediately reached for it and looked really upset that it broke. But Natsume decided to step in and said he could fix it. Even he was surprised at himself for offering to help. But at that moment, he just wanted to help this girl with such a beautiful face. The girl stood up and asked what he wanted from her, and Natsume decided to just run away because he was so embarrassed. The next day, Natsume told Himari everything, and Himari said she would try to find the girl. Natsume started ignoring Himari, but she decided to lightly hit him to get his attention. Natsume accidentally shouted that he wouldn't fall for that. After class, Himari cheered Natsume up and said he should be happy. Someone was still wearing his masterpieces. Suddenly, a guest came to visit Natsume. It was his old friend, the lady killer. Himari didn't stay silent and said she was happy to see the lady killer here. But the whole problem was that Natsume's friend and Himari could never share Natsume and always fought over him. Natsume asked why he had come, and his friend said that the girl he met yesterday was named Rin, and she came to have her bracelet repaired. Later, Himari and Natsume talked about how small the world is. Himari said that Natsume already knew Rin and her older sister because it was her sister who helped sell most of the accessories at the fair, and now Rin's sister is a model. Natsume was surprised because Rin didn't know that he was the one who made the bracelet. Later, they gathered in the classroom and Rin showed the bracelet. Natsume noticed that the chain was worn out and needed to be replaced. Rin wasn't happy and said, "Wasn't there any way to fix it without replacing it?" Himari decided to step in and told Rin to calm down a bit because she looked very angry. Himari tried to laugh at Rin again like she always does, but Rin grabbed her by the face and reminded her that she wasn't someone to joke with. Natsume was surprised that someone had appeared who could actually hold back Himari. Himari took the opportunity to poke Rin's big eyes. It all ended with Rin punishing Himari. Natsume said he would start working and immersed himself in his own world. Rin was surprised and asked if he was always like that, to which Himari replied that yes, he's always like that, and he won't hear anything even if you talk right in front of him. Natsume finally finished, but when he looked at the girls, he noticed that they were laughing at him. Then he noticed that they had braided his hair. Rin put on her bracelet and thanked Natsume. He had done everything perfectly. Natsume was happy. He went home first before the rain started. Rin decided to ask what kind of relationship Himari and Natsume had. Himari replied that they had been friends since middle school and joked that Rin had fallen for Natsume. But for Himari, Natsume is the best person, and no one will ever understand him like she does. Himari plans to be friends with Natsume for her whole life. Suddenly, heavy rain began, and Rin finally understood everything. She had always known that only people with kind hearts could create something that touches others. Rin had never known what the person who made the bracelet on her wrist looked like, but she always felt that he was nearby. Rin showed a photo of Himari wearing the bracelet and said that it must have been Natsume who made these accessories. accessories. Himari clutched her choker and finally realized that she wasn't the only one who saw this in Natsume, and that's why she always considered their friendship special. But maybe those were just the hopes Himari had believed in. Natsume was having breakfast and realized that, besides Himari, he hadn't talked to a girl in a long time, when suddenly his sister walked in and asked why he looked tired. Natsume replied that he wasn't used to the new environment, and his sister was surprised because she remembered Natsume always being alone. Natsume told her that a girl had asked him to fix a bracelet, and his sister said it would do him good since he was stuck in a loop, had stopped doing anything interesting, and all his creations had become boring. She said that if Natsume didn't come up with something new, he would have to inherit the family business and then marry Himari. During class, Natsume was deep in thought because his sister was right. He didn't even have regular customers since people would buy something once and never return. During the break, Makishima decided to ask Rin what happened the day before because he could help her get Natsume's attention. However, Himari arrived and was once again annoyed to see Makishima, and just as they were about to argue again, some girls from the tennis club came to Makishima, and he left with them, while Himari stayed to talk to Rin. After class, Natsume went to water his flowers when suddenly Himari showed up and pounced on him again. She decided to help him because he had been spacing out during class, so Natsume told her he wanted to change the theme of his accessories. Himari listened to what Natsume said and agreed with his sister's words. She decided to help him with the new theme. Natsume asked her what love was. Himari said it was the desire to kiss, and such feelings don't just appear out of nowhere. Natsume replied that it sounded more like sexual attraction. Himari tried to remind him about Rin, but Natsume answered that he didn't feel like kissing a girl. Himari suggested that Natsume should kiss her. Maybe he would like it, to which Natsume said he couldn't do that. Natsume started thinking, because this was the first time he had ever felt like this, when suddenly Himari took his hand, saying she didn't mind at all, and it was just for Natsume since they were best friends. Himari leaned in to kiss Natsume, but he almost fainted, thinking she truly wanted to kiss him, only for Himari to once again tease him. She smiled and said they shouldn't do things like that, apologized to Natsume, and invited him out on Saturday. Saturday arrived, and Himari's brother picked up Natsume, and on the way they talked about how Natsume was doing and what he was working on. Himari's brother said he used to be classmates with Sakura, Natsume's sister, and that everyone in the class respected Sakura because she always spoke her mind. They arrived at the shopping mall, where Himari met them and immediately criticized Natsume's outfit, saying he should dress more fashionably. Natsume said he didn't have time to change, and Himari told him that they would be joined by a special guest, and then Rin appeared. They decided to eat, and Natsume noticed that Rin was acting strangely since he thought they were now friends. Suddenly, Himari interrupted and said that Rin would be his new model for accessories. Natsume was surprised, but Rin said she had figured out that Natsume made accessories. Himari said Natsume was really lucky to meet such a beautiful girl, and now she would be his model. She suggested starting the photo shoot next weekend at Rin's family's pastry shop, but Rin said she had to ask her mom and left. Natsume said Himari was being too pushy, but Himari replied that Rin was just too shy and needed a little push. After lunch, they went to look at accessories together and tried to find what suited Rin best. Natsume said he was currently observing which accessories looked best on Rin. Himari said it was cringe and that Natsume looked like a complete idiot, which made Rin laugh at the situation. Himari asked Natsume to put the necklace on Rin, and Rin agreed. When Natsume put the necklace on her, Rin became very flustered, and after Himari commented that Rin's outfit looked beautiful today, Rin blushed deeply and decided to get back at Himari. Natsume gathered some accessories and went to the flower shop to see which flowers would match best. Rin saw some beautiful flowers and said it reminded her of that time, but Natsume didn't understand what she meant, and Rin got embarrassed and walked away. Natsume said roses wouldn't work, because even if Rin was prickly, she was still a cutie. Himari went to buy drinks, and Natsume realized he should go and apologize to Rin. Himari decided to support their relationship and give Natsume some time. Natsume approached Rin and apologized, and Rin said it was okay because it was all Himari's fault anyway. Rin told him how she and Himari first met. Then Natsume asked what flowers Rin liked, and she answered that she liked big flowers. Natsume agreed, and said big flowers suited her, and he chose tulips. Rin listened very attentively to Natsume because he knew so much about flowers. Natsume apologized again, thinking he was saying nonsense, but Rin stopped him and asked why he loved flowers so much. Natsume decided to confess and said that when he was in elementary school, he visited a botanical garden with his parents, but he got separated from them and met a girl who was lost, so he decided to help her. Natsume also said that he had bought that flower with his pocket money and gave it to the girl, who said she would treasure it and always wear it, then walked away. Natsume thought the flower would eventually wither, and that's how he became interested in flowers, because if they were properly preserved, they could last a long time, and next time he'd be able to give flowers to that girl again. Natsume felt embarrassed after sharing this story, but it turned out that the girl was actually Rin. She said that the flower was a hibiscus, and that ever since childhood, she had been insecure about her hair color, but that flower made her feel that maybe it wasn't so bad. Natsume was shocked that the same girl from back then had been standing in front of him all this time. Rin said she had already received flowers from him once. Natsume thanked Rin for telling him that, because the hibiscus symbolizes new love and delicate beauty. Afterward, Natsume tried calling Himari but couldn't reach her, when suddenly, Rin came up and asked if they could exchange numbers. At that moment, Himari was lying on her bed, thinking about what Rin had told her, the story of the boy who gave her a flower. Himari had heard that story from Natsume almost every day, so she decided to support their relationship. If that's not fate, then what is? She was truly happy for her close friends, but she didn't understand why it hurt, and was afraid that Natsume might grow distant from her. After the weekend, Natsume couldn't sleep properly. When he returned to school, he asked Himari what was wrong, since she had been ignoring him for a few days. Natsume tried to approach her to find out what he did to upset her, but Himari kept her distance and avoided him. Suddenly, Rin showed up and greeted Natsume. She immediately noticed something was off and asked what happened. Natsume said Himari was acting strange, so Rin decided to handle it herself. She tricked Himari by saying she brought cookies, then quickly grabbed her to stop her from running away. The three of them sat down to talk, and Rin gave them cookies she made specifically for Natsume and Himari. She said baking was the only thing she was good at and went back to class. Himari noticed this and reminded Natsume that Rin was madly in love with him. Himari said maybe she was getting in the way of the two of them spending time together, but Natsume replied that they weren't even dating. Himari teased him, saying he finally reunited with his childhood crush. Natsume realized something was wrong with Himari and pinned her against the fence, asking what was going on with her lately. Himari blushed deeply and told him he was saying weird things. Natsume said there was nothing between him and Rin, even if she was his first love. Then Himari handed him a drink and went to class. A few hours later, Natsume talked about how he gives color to his accessories. Suddenly, Himari started teasing him again, and Natsume asked her to stay still while he finished working. Himari joked that if Rin wasn't around, they might have kissed again. Natsume stood up and said that never happened, telling her to stop joking like that, because Rin could hear. At that moment, Rin blushed and said she had extra classes and left. Himari laughed at Natsume, then took his hand and pulled him closer, saying that if he didn't mind, they could go for it. Natsume fell for another of her traps and believed her words, until Himari took a photo of him right as he leaned in. He then saw on her phone a photo of him trying to kiss her. But the truth was, Himari actually wanted the kiss. He just took too long and made her nervous, so she ran off. Natsume didn't understand what Himari was doing. The next day, Makishima asked Natsume how things were going with Rin and whether Rin had confessed her love. Natsume said he doubted Rin still liked him. He asked Makishima to stay out of it, since he already had enough on his plate, especially with Himari acting strange. Later, Natsume and Rin discussed her accessories and came up with a photo shoot idea. After a few shots, Natsume couldn't figure out how to capture Rin's beauty, because all her poses reminded him of Himari. He saw her bracelet and said he wanted to try something new, but then hesitated and was about to leave. Himari decided to step in and whispered something to Rin. Rin did exactly as Himari said, and when Natsume took the picture, he was shocked. It perfectly captured Rin looking like she was waiting for something, full of anticipation. Natsume said it was perfect and asked her to pose like that for the rest of the shoot. On the way home, Natsume asked what Himari had told Rin. She said it was a secret. Natsume said he would stick with the tulip design since it symbolized love. Himari asked Natsume to make an accessory for her too, in case she found her true love. Natsume realized he already felt something more for Himari, something beyond friendship, and he wanted to tell her she was his, but he couldn't. He had promised they would stay just friends. Natsume said he couldn't make that kind of accessory for her because she was his best friend. Himari smiled and walked away. Later, she realized that Natsume had rejected her. She expected him to simply say she wasn't the right one, but now she understood that she no longer saw him as just a friend. Still, she couldn't throw away their friendship. All she could do was endure a little longer. That weekend, they all met at a cafe to celebrate their new accessories. Natsume pulled out a hairpin with a tulip design and showed it to everyone. He was about to place it on Rin when Himari interrupted, teasing him again. Makishima noticed something was clearly off with Himari. He suggested that Natsume go ahead and put the pin on Rin to see Himari's reaction. Rin blushed and said she'd be happy. Natsume didn't know why he was so nervous. He placed the pin on Rin and asked how it looked. Rin said she liked it. Makishima then suggested Rin should become his permanent model. She inspired Natsume to create new accessories. Suddenly, Himari interrupted, saying that wouldn't do. She was clearly jealous. Makishima noticed and pushed further, asking why she was so concerned about Rin being the model. Himari claimed she was just worried about Rin. Natsume added that someone like Rin would be a great model for him. Himari didn't know what to say. Natsume asked what was going on with her. She was the one who said he needed a new model, but now she was acting strange. He told her her behavior was getting on his nerves. If she kept acting like this, he might actually fall in love with her. Himari was stunned by his words. She quickly reached for her drink, but Natsume reminded her she had given it to him. She grabbed a glass of water and poured it on him, then said she wanted to end their friendship and never see him again. Natsume doesn't understand why Himari is acting this way. When he returned to class, he kept a close eye on her, realizing she was deliberately ignoring him. But instead of confronting her directly, Natsume tried a different approach. He brought out their favorite snacks and hinted that he wouldn't be able to finish them alone. Even then, Himari ignored him completely. Natsume commented that they probably wouldn't be opening their store together, and suddenly Himari pretended to cry and forwarded him a message from her new agency. Natsume rushed after her, but ran into Rin, who showed him Himari's message, saying she was moving to Tokyo for good. Rin and Natsume decided to lure her in with her favorite snacks and wait. Eventually, Himari showed up, and Natsume immediately chased after her. When he caught up, he asked why she was so upset and what was going on, but Himari slapped him. She refused to answer him. Then Natsume accidentally touched her necklace, the very one he had given her, and broke it. He felt crushed, thinking he no longer meant anything to her. But Himari began crying, asking why Natsume had chosen Rin as his regular model after all these years, why he started making jewelry for her and not for Himari. She said being second wasn't enough for her, and that she was going somewhere she would be needed. After school, Natsume sat on a bench deep in thought when Makishima showed up to support him. Makishima explained that affection and love are different, and that's why Natsume couldn't clearly choose who mattered more. Makishima admitted he suggested picking Rin just to break things off, but Himari shouldn't leave for Tokyo because if she did, Rin would blame herself, and Makishima didn't want that. Natsume realized Makishima was a genuinely kind guy who said all that to make Natsume stop Himari. Natsume called Himari and asked if she was really leaving, and she replied yes. Natsume said he'd get down on his knees and apologize for what he said, but Himari ignored him. So Natsume decided to focus on his work and strive for perfection. Meanwhile, Himari was secretly laughing to herself. She had lied to everyone about going to Tokyo. She believed Natsume would do whatever she wished, and that by tomorrow, he'd be bowing at her feet. But Natsume ignored her completely. Himari waited all weekend. Sure, he'd call, but instead, she saw a photo of him and Rin online. She was upset and remembered Natsume saying he was tired of her antics. That's when she bumped into her older brother, who immediately noticed she hadn't mentioned Natsume for over a week. She opened up to him, and her brother scolded her for trying to manipulate Natsume. He reminded her of the promise they all made to help Natsume's jewelry shop for life, and how he even bowed to sell the jewelry for her sake. Her brother told her she needed to decide what mattered more, her love or Natsume himself. Himari didn't fully grasp what he meant, but she decided to message Natsume and meet. They met in the chemistry lab. Natsume told her he wanted to give her something before parting ways. As he reached into his bag, he accidentally pulled out a school withdrawal form. Himari noticed it and asked what it was for. Natsume explained that he wanted to leave school and go to Tokyo to be with her. He had realized that nothing, not even the jewelry he made, mattered as much as Himari. She meant everything to him. Himari was touched because being with Natsume always felt right. She took the form from him and told him he didn't need it. She admitted she wasn't going anywhere and wanted things to go back to how they were, but with her as the top priority. Natsume gave her a ring, and Himari jumped on him and asked him to put it on her. She loved the gift, and everything returned to normal. Later, a group of girls approached Himari and showed her a picture of Natsume, asking if it was really him. Meanwhile, Natsume returned everything he had packed and received a call from an unknown person asking if everything went well. He replied that it did. He had placed a purple tulip inside Himari's ring. He didn't tell her what it meant, but I'll tell you, purple tulips symbolize the beginning of new love and deep care for the person receiving them. Natsume has always loved beautiful things, especially flowers, and ever since he was a child, he dreamed of opening a shop selling jewelry made from flowers. Himari had always been by Natsume's side since elementary school, and whenever classmates teased him for being a boring guy, she supported him and always stood up for him. One day, Himari noticed that Natsume was avoiding her, and he admitted that school had a hierarchy, so he was keeping his distance because he felt like he wasn't good enough for her and would only drag her down. Himari told him he was just imagining things and that sincerity was more important than appearances, and that Natsume wasn't lacking in anything compared to her. She warned him never to fall in love with her. Then, jokingly, Himari said she really wanted to date him and grabbed his hand, saying they should go to class holding hands. At that moment, Natsume realized he really had fallen in love with Himari, but knew he had to control himself. Just then, Himari appeared, and they went to class together. On the way, he noticed she wasn't wearing the ring he had made for her. Himari pointed to her neck and said it would be weird to wear a ring at school, so she wore it as a necklace instead. Natsume held himself back. He almost blurted out that he loved her. Himari noticed how much Natsume liked her and jokingly suggested they actually start dating. Suddenly, Natsume turned the tables, grabbed her, and seriously asked if she wanted to go out with him, only to stop mid-sentence. Himari pretended she didn't care and said she was going to wash her face. In the bathroom, however, she was freaking out. She really believed him. Meanwhile, Natsume was called to the principal's office and told he had to retake his exam or he'd be expelled. Himari and Natsume discussed it, and she said she'd help him study. Himari showed him that his face had gone viral online, and now everyone knew he made the jewelry. Jealous again, she said that now all the girls would chase after him and he'd choose someone else to be his model. But Natsume stopped her and said that her ring was made just for her, and she would always be his model. Himari got so flustered that she playfully punched him. Suddenly, they noticed that Rin had been standing in front of them the whole time and had heard everything. Rin decided not to interfere and left. Natsume told Himari that a lot had happened between him and Rin while the two of them were fighting. Later, Himari went up to the rooftop and found Makishima there. She immediately asked why he had revealed that Natsume was making the jewelry. Makishima admitted it was for Rin's sake. He warned Himari that she was acting stiff and that soon everyone would realize she was in love with Natsume. He said she'd understand everything soon and walked away. Natsume and Himari decided to go to her house so her brother could help him study. Himari teased Natsume that they were alone today and no one else was home. Natsume only realized they were alone when suddenly her brother Hibari appeared. Himari laughed. She had tricked him again. Hibari said he had passed his tasks to his workers, so he had time to help Natsume prepare for the retake. Hibari said they needed to forget about exams because Natsume had a bright future in jewelry and shouldn't waste his energy on school. They studied for a few hours, and then Himari told Natsume the bath was ready. Natsume noticed her yukata and started imagining what kind of accessory would suit her best. While he was preparing for the bath, Himari came in and offered to scrub his back. Natsume reminded her that they were a boy and a girl, and it wasn't right. But Himari kept teasing him. Natsume stayed composed and said it was fine. Himari left to change, and Natsume's imagination got the better of him, thinking it would be her scrubbing his back. But it turned out Hibari walked in instead. Natsume instantly realized Himari had played another prank on him. Hibari noticed they teased each other a lot and said he wouldn't interfere in their relationship. He then asked whether Himari had apologized for what she did recently, but Natsume said there was nothing for her to apologize for and that he had already apologized, which made Hibari realize that Himari never said sorry. Meanwhile, Himari was pleased with how she fooled Natsume again, and imagined what it would have been like if they were really alone in the bath. Suddenly, someone knocked. She got nervous, thinking it was Natsume, but Hibari came in and said he needed to talk to her. The next day, Hibari decided to drive Natsume and Himari to school, but Himari cried the whole way because Hibari had scolded her for lying. At the school gate, Rin saw them and asked Natsume if it was true that they had arrived together in the same car. Natsume didn't know what to say and accidentally let it slip that he had spent the night at Himari's house, which only made Rin more curious. Natsume quickly added that Hibari helped him study because he had to retake his exams. Then Rin said she would also stay over at Himari's place with them. During class, Natsume realizes he's in trouble because now Rin seriously wants to spend the night with them. Natsume asks if her mom will allow it, and Rin says her mom already agreed. At the same time, Himari texts Natsume saying it won't work out. They can't sleep over at her house because her brother doesn't want to see anyone with her older sister's DNA, as he can't stand her, and they can't stay late at a cafe either. Himari wants to know why Natsume is so worried about Rin. Is it because he wants Rin to see what happened with Himari in the bath yesterday? Natsume can't take it anymore and yells out that he wasn't thinking anything like that. The whole class hears him, and the teacher scolds him for being on his phone when he has a makeup test coming up. After class, Natsume goes for a walk when two girls stop him and show him a photo of his work, asking if it's his shop. Natsume says yes and remembers what Himari said, that now everyone knows about him. The girls immediately ask if he can make something for them, but Natsume says he has a makeup exam and no time. Just then, Makishima appears and saves him from the conversation. Meanwhile, Rin asks Himari what she should bring for the sleepover. Himari admits it won't work out tonight, and Rin is disappointed. Natsume finally learns that Makishima is the one who exposed his identity to the whole school. Natsume realizes that Makishima planned it all. Now Rin and Himari are fighting over him, and he looks like the main character in a rom-com. Makishima says he knows everything. He and Rin saw what happened between Natsume and Rin recently. Himari meets Natsume and says they can study at his place. Natsume panics, unsure what to do, but Himari is too cute, so he agrees. Just then, Himari is called to a meeting and tells him to start without her. She'll be back soon. Natsume returns home and quickly cleans up. Then the doorbell rings. It's Rin. Natsume is surprised by how beautiful she looks. He tells her no one else is home and she doesn't need to worry. He shows her his flowers and talks about them. They begin studying together. Rin is second in the class and can really help him. Every time she explains something, Natsume stares at her big eyes and gets flustered. He goes to make tea, and when he comes back, sees Rin hugging his pillow and lying on his bed. She notices him, quickly gets up, and blushes hard. She confesses that she really liked the scent of cherry sage and couldn't resist. Natsume explains he once spilled tea on his bed, which is why it smells that way. Rin hugs the pillow and says she really likes Natsume. He finally realizes that Rin genuinely cares for and loves him. If he didn't already have feelings for Himari, he wonders how he would have responded to Rin. From that day on, Rin stopped holding back. As evening comes, while Natsume is studying, Rin naps peacefully on his bed. He tries to wake her, but she hugs him tightly. Just then, Himari returns with Natsume's sister Saku, and they see everything. Natsume panics, trying to explain that he only tried to wake Rin, but she hugged him tightly and he couldn't move. Rin wakes up and apologizes. Saku admits she knows Rin's older sister, and every time she visits from Tokyo, they drink and talk with Hibari. Rin says her sister is strange, and she never thought she had friends in town. Saku cuts to the point and says Rin is in love with Natsume. She's surprised a beauty like Rin has fallen for him. Natsume apologizes, but Rin says he has a great sister. Himari doesn't understand how Rin and Natsume are acting so normal after what Saku asked. Natsume says Rin confessed her feelings, but he rejected her. Himari is even more confused. They should be awkward, not this comfortable. Natsume admits Rin has confessed to him 4 times already. Even though he keeps turning her down, she never gives up and always greets him. Himari accidentally says too much. She blurts out that Rin is Natsume's first love. Rin immediately grabs Himari and asks Natsume if it's true. Natsume admits it. Rin was his first love, but now he's unsure of his feelings, and he can't accept her just because she's beautiful. Natsume notices tension between the girls too. Rin says they haven't spoken since yesterday. It all started when Himari supported Rin in her pursuit of Natsume, only to later try to take him to Tokyo herself. That's why Rin is upset. But she's not giving up. She'll do whatever she can. Rin decides she wants to be friends with both Himari and Natsume. Natsume realizes she's serious. She doesn't care if he ends up with Himari. Rin says she wants to work with them, even if she won't be the model all the time. Hibari takes Himari home and lectures her. He knows Rin will now help Natsume, but Himari herself understands and can't do anything. Rin still sees her as a friend. Hibari tells her that if she's not helping Natsume and just interfering with her love, she shouldn't be near him. It only hurts them both. He believes Natsume will succeed even without Himari. Himari asks what she should do. Hibari says she needs to stop lying to Natsume. Until she does, she'll never beat Rin or stand on equal ground with Natsume. Hibari offers to treat her to something. Himari chooses ice cream and asks if she can lie just a little. Hibari immediately stops the car and says that's her problem. She never truly settles down. The next day, Natsume retakes his exams and passes with flying colors. The summer days began, and Natsume completely forgot about lessons and fully immersed himself in making accessories. And since Rin was now helping them, Natsume felt he had to try even harder. He met Himari along the way, and then they decided to walk to class together, and Himari reminded him that he should start wearing his summer uniform. In class, Himari teased him again and did everything to make him say that he loved her, but Natsume decided to turn the situation around and did the opposite, and suddenly Himari blushed and said she was actually ready to date. She came closer, and Natsume closed his eyes, but Himari teased him again and gently tapped his forehead, and Natsume did the same in return. After class, they decided to buy some drinks when Rin approached them in her summer uniform, and Natsume said it really suited her, which made Himari furious because Natsume didn't say anything about her summer uniform. Later, they went out into the schoolyard, and Natsume explained that they urgently needed to sell the flowers before they wilted, and while Himari hinted she would be the model, other girls came up and reminded Natsume that he had promised to make them accessories. Natsume immediately went to his classroom and offered them to choose something from the ready-made items, but the girls said they wanted something custom-made, and Himari said that custom orders cost more, and one of the girls said she wanted matching accessories for herself and her boyfriend, which caught Natsume's interest. The girls left, and Natsume was exhausted because they had been very persistent. The next day, Natsume said that a Japanese flower would suit the accessory, and he explained that when he saw that couple, he immediately knew a Japanese flower was perfect for them. Himari asked about the price, and Natsume said their current prices were too high for students, and something needed to be changed. Rin got worried that more girls might start approaching Natsume now that there would be more orders, but Natsume said that for the sake of flowers, he would learn how to talk to clients. He showed the Japanese flower, and the couple really liked his choice. Natsume immediately took their measurements, and the boy said that a year ago his girlfriend had bought matching accessories from Natsume, and they liked everything. The next day, Natsume made the accessory for them, and after class, more girls came to their room asking for accessories. After the 5th client that day, they were exhausted and decided to grab a snack. The number of clients became overwhelming, and the next day even more came, and people got really into it. The first girls had spread the word that Natsume made great accessories. Natsume visited Himari because Hibari had prepared a nice workshop for him. Himari hinted at her knees and told Natsume to rest until Rin arrived. She got a little embarrassed, and Natsume decided to ask what she meant when she had said she wanted romantic accessories, and Himari explained that she said it just to tease Rin because she looked so cute. Natsume realized that Himari was very kind, and he didn't want to take advantage of her, and he wanted to become her equal. He fell asleep, and Himari noticed how hard he was trying now, and she was afraid he might get too carried away and forget about her. And she didn't want that because she had fallen in love with him, and this was the happiest time of her life. The next day, Natsume prepared everything and said they had to deliver 2 accessories to different places when Makishima suddenly appeared, and Himari immediately hugged Natsume, and Rin got jealous right away. Makishima came to suggest having lunch together and discuss business. He said the girls had spread the word about Natsume's business on their own. Natsume asked why Makishima cared so much about Rin, and he said that he owed her a lot and wanted to help her with her first love, and warned Natsume that not everything would go smoothly. After class, a teacher called Natsume and showed him the accessory, saying that a girl's parents had complained that Natsume sold it to her for too high a price. But Natsume said everything was discussed and the girl had agreed to the price. But the teacher asked for proof, and Natsume had nothing to say. The teacher said he would discuss it with the other teachers, because even if Natsume's actions didn't technically break any rules, from the parents' perspective, it looked like a child had been pressured into buying an expensive accessory. Natsume understood everything, and the teacher advised him to pause taking orders. Natsume told Rin and Himari everything, and the girls were clearly unhappy. And the girl who had complained to her parents was also upset, because she felt she had been sold some cheap nonsense, all because the accessory didn't help her with her confession and the boy rejected her. Natsume and the girls decided to go for a walk, and they saw the girl throwing away his accessory, the one he had put his soul into, and she started stomping on it, which immediately upset Natsume. Himari approached the girl and asked why she was doing that, but the girl just left. Natsume walked over to the accessory and picked it up, and finally realized that romantic doesn't always mean pure and right relationships. Later, the teachers called Sakura, Natsume's sister, and told her that the girl's parents were demanding a refund for the jewelry. The next day, the girls who had helped with the advertising apologized to Himari, and then Himari decided to support Natsume, because that's what a friend does. She greeted Natsume as usual, but he was still upset and responded coldly. Himari understood that this would soon pass. Natsume talked to Makishima and let everything out, finally understanding the situation. Makishima was surprised that Natsume was speaking like an adult. Himari and Rin met up, and Himari said they should take Natsume out on the weekend to cheer him up, and that should be enough to help him forget everything. But Rin said that this kind of thing doesn't go away so quickly. When your love is destroyed, it hurts deeply. Himari wasn't happy, because it was Makishima who had set up this whole situation. While they were discussing it, Natsume went to the teacher to retrieve the returned jewelry. They all looked at the returned pieces together, and Himari said she couldn't accept this, but Natsume was calm, saying the customers were convinced they had been tricked. Himari suggested going out on the weekend to have fun, but Natsume said he wouldn't be making jewelry until graduation. He wasn't joking, and he regretted ever starting a business within the school. Himari got angry because Natsume had been so eager to sell jewelry and now was trying to run away. But Natsume said that now everyone saw him as a fraud, and Himari herself knew what rumors were spreading at school. Natsume admitted that he wasn't as strong as Himari, not strong enough to ignore everything that was happening. He said he wasn't quitting completely, just trying to broaden his horizons. But Himari didn't like that, and she stubbornly offered him a drink to calm down. Natsume refused, and Himari accidentally spilled it on him. Upset that Natsume wanted to quit making jewelry, Himari walked off and told him he could do whatever he wanted. Back home, she spent the whole evening lying in bed until Hibari came over. Himari told him everything, including that Natsume no longer wanted to make jewelry. Hibari was glad because Himari was finally starting to understand another person and finally being honest with herself. Most importantly, Himari had shared her feelings with Natsume, and now it was up to him. He had to overcome it. This time, Natsume needed to face everything himself and decide what mattered most. He had to find the strength to move forward. Hibari said that as Natsume's partner, Himari also had a role to play and could help him. The next day, Natsume apologized to Himari, but Himari made it clear that if Natsume stopped making jewelry, then their friendship would be over. Natsume didn't understand why Himari was so angry, but she said it wasn't just about that. Opening a shop had been her dream too, and if Natsume was planning to crush that dream, then it was better for them to stop being friends. She would go it alone. After school, Rin met Natsume, and they decided to play video games at his house. Natsume was surprised that Rin played just like his mom. Rin said it was fun, and Natsume agreed, but Rin noticed he wasn't good at lying. He clearly enjoyed making jewelry more than playing games. Natsume got angry at her for meddling, but Rin smiled, knowing he was trying to act tough even though he wasn't. Natsume showed her the jewelry he had spent the whole week making and said he had worked all night on it but didn't feel anything while doing it. Natsume didn't understand where the inspiration to make jewelry came from, and then he realized he had been making jewelry to impress Himari. He also realized that others expected his jewelry to help with love, but he had only been creating for himself. That made him feel disgusted with himself, so he decided to step away from it all. If he had continued, he would have been lying to himself and to the buyers. Rin flicked him on the forehead and said he was taking everything too seriously. Natsume said Rin was too sincere to understand, but Rin admitted she hated the family business and was actually happy when Natsume fought with Himari, because it meant she could spend more time with him. Rin confessed that she never gave up, even when Natsume turned her down, because she loved him deeply. Natsume blushed and apologized. Rin said there was nothing wrong with making jewelry just for Himari. It could still make others happy. Natsume finally understood everything, and they went back to school together, where they saw Himari watering the flowers. Himari started acting tough again, but Rin interrupted and told her to just confess to Natsume. Himari admitted she had lied about Tokyo, but Natsume smiled and said it was fine. No one was more important to him than her. Himari poured water on herself and said that even if Natsume wanted to quit making jewelry, she still loved watching him do it. But Natsume explained that he didn't want to make it anymore because he had been thinking of Himari the whole time, and now everything would be different. Himari got all flustered again, embarrassed in front of Natsume, and once again asked him to date her, but Natsume refused. But the next day, Rin's older sister Kureha arrived, having flown in to take revenge on the person who once humiliated her. Natsume recalls fragments from elementary school when, besides Himari, he made a new friend, and the three of them were always together. One day, Himari asked if he had chosen flowers for the festival, but Natsume said he hadn't decided yet, and he was happy that Himari was by his side because she always supported him. The next day, Natsume's friend told him that Himari had plans for New Year's and might not come to the exhibition. Natsume had prepared everything when suddenly a teacher came and called him for lunch. There, Natsume decided to ask the teacher for advice, whether he should let a person go or whether it was better if they stayed close. The teacher gave him advice, and he listened to her. Natsume returned to the hall and fell asleep when suddenly Himari arrived and woke him up. Natsume was surprised that Himari came to him because she had been hanging out with that same friend. In the end, Himari explained that she couldn't stand people like him because he only befriended Natsume to get closer to her, so she rejected him and returned to Natsume. Only then did Natsume realize how much Himari meant to him, because she was always there for him. Natsume purposely made a flower shaped like a sunflower because it perfectly expresses his feelings for her, meaning, "I only look at you." Himari told Natsume that if he truly valued her, then he should stop sacrificing himself. Himari said the wreath was beautiful, but still far from perfect. Himari woke up and understood that she was lucky with her appearance, but deep down, she had many worries. As usual, Himari wanted to say good morning, but Natsume dodged her twice, so Himari decided not to give up since Natsume was always on his phone, and she suggested he spend some time alone. Natsume immediately blushed when suddenly Rin appeared, calmed Himari down, took Natsume by the hand, and led him away, saying at the end that she was looking forward to the three of them having a sleepover. Himari opened her mouth in shock at Rin's actions. Rin asked Natsume to feed her, but he couldn't, and it all started because Natsume had asked Rin for help since Himari wouldn't leave him alone about the sleepover. Natsume admitted that he wouldn't confess to Himari because he wanted to become more successful with his jewelry, and Rin liked that because now she had a chance. In the evening, Himari ran up to Natsume and said she needed to choose a swimsuit for the summer and needed to go to the store. Natsume agreed, but said he would invite Rin. Natsume met with Rin, but Rin wasn't happy about the message and said she was busy today, so Natsume would have to go alone with Himari. Natsume and Himari went to the swimsuit store, and Natsume immediately got embarrassed. Himari showed some swimsuits and went to try them on. Himari called out and said she had put one on and wanted to show it to Natsume, but he instantly imagined something inappropriate and ran away, unable to handle revealing things. Natsume ran home and met Kureha, who had just returned. Kureha asked Natsume to call Himari because she really wanted to see her. Meanwhile, Himari went to Makishima and asked why Natsume was acting weird. Was this his doing? Makishima said he had done nothing and that it was all Kureha. Kureha explained that Himari was supposed to join her agency. Kureha said she had paid for everything herself, but it was a shame Himari had ditched her. She came to Natsume to ask him to convince Himari to join Kureha's agency, and obviously, it wasn't for free. Kureha showed a lot of money and said that Himari would bring in a lot of profit. Natsume said that Himari wasn't a product and therefore wasn't worth any amount of money. Kureha was surprised because Himari was standing still in life, and Natsume was just getting in the way of her becoming better. Himari shouldn't be doing childish things. Natsume started to think that maybe it was better for Himari to go, but then Hibari arrived and defended Natsume, saying that Kureha was the same as always. Hibari said that as long as he was alive, no one would dare interfere in the lives of Himari and Natsume. Then Kureha showed some kind of video and said that if he didn't shut up, she would upload it online. Hibari immediately lost his grip and gave in to Kureha. Sakura decided to step in and told Kureha not to force her brother like that, since Kureha herself never liked being forced to do something she didn't want to do. Kureha listened to Sakura and proposed a bet to Natsume. Natsume must create a masterpiece during summer break and prove that his work is not child's play, because if he refuses, Kureha will demand the debt Himari owes. Natsume clarified that if he wins, Kureha will forgive Himari's debt and leave her alone, but if he loses, Kureha will take Himari with her. Natsume agreed, and Kureha said the theme for the jewelry is summer memories, and the deadline is August. Kureha left. Natsume realized it was time to give it his all. Natsume keeps thinking about what kind of jewelry he should make. A day ago, everyone gathered at Natsume's house, and Himari was surprised why her brother accepted Kureha's decision and did nothing. But Hibari said it was Himari's own fault for lying about Tokyo. Rin was also unhappy with her sister's behavior and decided to tell everything to their mom. Sakura said that Kureha always gets what she wants and will go to any lengths. Kureha often uses negative emotions, and resentment gives her strength. Hibari said that if Natsume loses and Himari leaves, then he will help Natsume with making jewelry. But Natsume said he must win, otherwise Himari will leave. Himari came to Natsume, and together they had to figure out what jewelry to make. Himari said she had a backup plan, and if nothing works out, Natsume will have to take care of her. Natsume blushed because Himari was saying ambiguous things. Himari admitted that she never minded if Natsume married her. This instantly energized Natsume, and he said he would definitely win for her. However, Himari laughed again after seeing how serious Natsume had become. Natsume got upset again when suddenly Rin appeared and suggested they search for summer memories. Meanwhile, Makishima met with Hibari, and Hibari advised him to focus on tennis and not get involved in the relationship between Natsume, Himari, and Rin. Himari, Natsume, and Rin went to a cafe and decided to discuss what kind of jewelry they should make. Himari suggested a few options with summer scenes, but Rin again thought that Himari would propose something revealing. Himari got inspired and began making up a story, but it ended up with her talking about something too suggestive, so Natsume stopped her. Rin decided to come up with a summer scene, and she said she is always ready to be with Natsume, which made Himari blush. After that, they went to the sea, and Natsume took pictures while Himari and Rin played in the water. Looking at the photos of Himari and Rin, they thought the pictures turned out cute, but they looked like a typical advertisement, so they needed something different. Natsume said that the more he thinks, the fewer ideas he has. Natsume suggested going somewhere, and they went to Ekibana school to see their teacher. The teacher welcomed them and asked what brought them there, and Natsume said he wanted to see other people's work. They opened an album and saw photos of Himari and Natsume from elementary school. The teacher suggested doing some ikebana since they were all there. Inspiration comes when you do something. Rin and Natsume decided to create something, but Himari was never good at anything, especially creating from scratch. Rin realized it was very difficult without instructions, but Natsume decided to help her and gave a few tips. Himari saw how hard Rin was trying and made something beautiful. Himari remembered that she cut her hair because she burned it in middle school. The teacher decided to talk to Himari because she understood that Rin was also in love with Natsume, and Himari pretends like she doesn't care, but the teacher sees that Himari is just pretending. Suddenly, Natsume returned and said he would make jewelry from a sunflower and thanked Rin because she was the one who noticed the sunflower jewelry Natsume once made. The teacher showed them the sunflower fair and said they needed to go there. They immediately got ready and went, but Rin couldn't go with them. Himari was worried why Natsume was avoiding her and didn't even sit next to her. Himari asked if it was because Natsume loved Rin, but Natsume said it wasn't about that. Himari decided to go buy another bottle of tea and realized that friendship can't exist when someone has a person they love. Himari started to think that Rin is much prettier and remembered what Makishima said, that Natsume was ready to do anything to stay with Himari. Himari started doubting herself. Suddenly, They arrived at the place, and Natsume saw many sunflowers. Natsume really liked the environment and started searching for a genuine sunflower. He spotted one and said it was exactly what he needed, and immediately imagined how the jewelry would look on Himari. Himari noticed that Natsume had once again gotten lost in the flowers and nothing else interested him. Himari decided to whisper that she loves Natsume and turned to leave, but Natsume said he heard everything and that this wasn't the right time to joke. Himari got angry, even though it was her own fault. She often jokes like that, and now Natsume can't tell whether it's a joke or not. Himari ran away. Natsume decided to run after her, but Himari didn't understand why she was so useless and why Natsume couldn't understand her feelings. Himari took off her necklace and put it into Natsume's hand, saying she no longer needed the best friend's ring. Then she pulled Natsume closer and kissed him. A few days later, Natsume was arranging his flowers again when he suddenly remembered what Himari did last time and blushed heavily, as he had been left speechless in that moment. Makishima appeared to talk with Natsume. Natsume asked if Makishima had made some deal with Kureha, but Makishima said he hadn't done anything this time, and that she was acting on her own. Suddenly, Makishima confessed that he was in love with Kureha. Natsume was very surprised, but Makishima had accidentally overheard Natsume talking to his flowers, saying that he and Himari had kissed. Makishima told Natsume to tell him everything, and Natsume explained that Himari had kissed him unexpectedly. Makishima said that things couldn't go back to being just friends so easily. Natsume decided to create the perfect accessory and not lose Himari. Later that evening, Himari was having dinner to distract herself, but she couldn't forget what she had done. She didn't know what to say to Natsume or how to find the right words. Then Hibari arrived, and Himari told her brother everything. Hibari supported her. The next day, Natsume had stayed up all night working on the flower design when Rin arrived and was impressed by how amazing the flower looked. Rin said she knew everything, that Natsume and Himari had kissed, and they decided to talk about it over lunch. Rin regretted not going with them, as now Himari was one step ahead, and she was upset about it. Natsume said he wanted to tell Himari his feelings directly. Rin supported him and said she didn't care. Even if Natsume and Himari were already dating, she would still confess. Rin decided to leave after lunch, but ran into Himari, scolded her for the kiss, and walked away. Natsume was left alone with Himari and said he didn't want to pretend nothing had happened and promised that he would defeat Kureha and then say something important to Himari. Afterwards, the three of them went out to have dinner together. Natsume didn't know what to do, as the school would be closed over the weekend, and he still needed to finish the accessory. Himari suggested he work at her house since no one would be home. The day came, and Natsume began working on the accessory, only 3 days left. Hibari said that Natsume's accessory turned out perfect and suggested he show it one last time. Natsume opened the box and saw a withered flower. He was upset because he had prepared so hard for this day, but the flower had simply wilted. He said it was defective now and couldn't be saved. Hibari said they would go search for a sunflower right away. The next morning, after working all night, Natsume finally finished the accessory, only to notice that Himari had fallen asleep beside him. Then Hibari arrived, and Himari also woke up. They all looked at the accessory together. Hibari said it turned out great. By noon, they went to see Kureha, who was supposed to judge the accessory. She looked at it and said it was very well made, every detail accounted for. Natsume thought he had won the bet since Kureha praised his work. However, Kureha said that although it was beautiful, the main condition was to show his maximum effort, and Natsume had not done that. All she saw was that Natsume was trying to hide his failure behind the accessory. Kureha said she knew the first sunflower had wilted and that Natsume hadn't brought it, but instead tried to deceive her, so he lost. Kureha and Rin left. Natsume wanted to know why Sakura had told Kureha about the wilted flower. Sakura told him that if he wasn't serious about making accessories, then maybe he shouldn't continue. She showed him the accessories the teacher had returned and told him to take a closer look. Natsume noticed that all his accessories had wilted. Sakura told him that he used to give it his all, but now his feelings had clouded his mind and his work had become secondary. If he wanted to be a true creator, he had to put aside his relationships. Otherwise, nothing would come out of it. Natsume apologized to Himari and everyone left. Makishima decided to meet with Himari and talk. He told her that he hadn't done anything this time and just wanted to help now. Makishima told Himari to accept Kureha's offer, but Himari didn't know how to respond. Then, Makishima added that it was the only good opportunity to help Natsume. Himari's greatest strength was her beauty, and to use it properly, she needed to accept Kureha's offer. If the feelings were real, they wouldn't disappear. Makishima promised that if Himari was still in love with Natsume, he would help her. Himari realized that she was tangled in love and had now lost her best friend, and it was all her fault. Later that evening, Natsume and Himari went on a walk together. Himari said she would accept Kureha's offer and become a model, as that way she could help Natsume with his accessories. Himari didn't know what they should be aiming for, a goal in the future or love in the present, but she understood that for Natsume, nothing was more important than accessories. All she wanted was for him not to forget about accessories and to keep creating them, no matter how hard it got. But now, they would have to go their separate ways, because at the end of their paths, they would still meet again, and with that, their love came to an end. Summer vacation finally began, but Rin wasn't particularly happy, because people always sweat in summer, and she had nothing to do, when suddenly her mom called her and asked her to take some treats to the Makishima household. There, Rin saw Makishima training and rejoicing that Himari would finally fly off to Tokyo, and Rin would win in love and take Natsume for herself. Rin called out to Makishima and said she brought some treats, but was unhappy that her sister wanted to take Himari to Tokyo. Makishima said this was Rin's chance, but Rin replied that it wasn't fair and asked Makishima to do something to help Himari. Makishima said he couldn't do anything, but Rin added that if he could outsmart Kureha, then maybe she would finally show interest in him, since Makishima secretly had a crush on Kureha. Makishima immediately started thinking, as he had been doing tennis just to impress Kureha. He gave in and agreed to Rin's condition and said he wouldn't help Rin anymore, to which Rin agreed and said she would manage on her own. Natsume was upset because he realized Himari would leave and there was no guarantee she would come back, so he would have to do everything by himself now. But he decided not to be sad and try his best when suddenly Makishima appeared and Natsume said that Himari was leaving for Tokyo this morning. Makishima asked why Natsume wasn't going after her, but Natsume said that Himari made the decision herself and wanted to become a model for Natsume's sake. Makishima replied that it didn't matter and Natsume shouldn't lie to himself and should go bring her back. He said Natsume was trying to deceive both himself and Himari, but Natsume got angry and said he truly loved Himari, so he ran toward the airport because he wanted to stop her from leaving, since he didn't need anything more in life. Himari realized she acted unfairly, but she had never fallen in love so deeply before. She used to think she was good for nothing, and now she could help Natsume, but she regretted not being able to spend time with him, and all she really wanted was to be near him and be loved. Suddenly, Rin appeared and thanked Himari for stepping aside and giving her Natsume, but Rin also understood that Himari was lying to herself and sacrificing her own feelings. Himari got angry and told Rin to go to Tokyo instead of her, and Rin agreed, but demanded that when she came back, Himari should give Natsume to her, since Himari claimed being friends with Natsume was enough. But Himari refused and realized that it wasn't she who found Natsume, but Natsume who found her. Rin understood that Himari couldn't be honest about what she truly wanted. Himari burst into tears and attacked Rin, and Rin comforted her, saying Natsume would be better off if Himari stayed here. She had noticed long ago that both Natsume and Himari thought too much about the future. Rin said that for Natsume, nothing was more important than Himari. Suddenly, Natsume appeared and asked Himari not to leave, saying he didn't need her to be useful. All he wanted was for her to stay by his side, and that would be enough. Natsume asked her not to sacrifice herself, and suddenly Kureha appeared and witnessed the whole emotional scene. Natsume immediately asked for another chance, but Kureha refused and said the most important thing was that Himari had to return the money, and if they could do that, the trip would be cancelled. Then Makishima appeared with a bag full of money and threw it toward Kureha, who caught it and fell to the ground. Makishima said he made it in time thanks to Hibari's help. Kureha had nothing to add. She just walked to Hibari's car and asked him to take her somewhere cool, and everything was finally settled. Makishima revealed that Kureha had a loan, which is why she acted this way, but now the loan would be paid off. Makishima said he didn't like being bored and really enjoyed their rom-com, so he decided to help them. He said they should celebrate and that Himari would treat everyone. Afterwards, they went to eat sushi and got full. Himari and Natsume decided to take a walk, and Natsume said he wanted to give up on his dream of opening a store. The main problem was that he hadn't been paying enough attention to his customers and accessories. Natsume thought about it and realized that the dream of opening a store was holding him back. It was a childhood dream, and now they needed to come up with a new dream and move forward and do something even bigger. Natsume decided to learn to stand on his own, and all he needed was for Himari to be by his side. Suddenly, Himari blushed and got embarrassed, and Natsume decided to turn all the teasing back on her. He laughed hard when he saw her blushing face. Natsume pulled out a ring and said Himari forgot it, but Himari was sad because it was just a friendship ring. Then Natsume admitted he lied and didn't tell her the full meaning of the flower on the ring. It actually meant eternal love. The next day, Natsume returned to school and thanked Himari for taking care of the flowers while he was gone, and Himari asked if he loved her. Natsume replied that he loved her more than anything in the world. Suddenly, they fell down, and Himari wanted to kiss Natsume, but they weren't alone. Rin and Makishima had been watching the whole time. Rin told Himari not to be difficult or she wouldn't get any treats, and then they all jumped on the cookies Rin brought. And so the first season came to an end. If you liked the anime, write about it in the comments.